We are back bottom of the hour, and we've had so much going on this Football Friday. We haven't really had a chance to look ahead to some of the great games that are on this Week 15 schedule. So, Bart, let's start with what could easily be a Super Bowl preview. Bills, Lions, who you got?
Styles make fights. I got the what up, though, 3 1/3. Papa is real happy right now. Listen, you talk about the Bills and what the Ravens did to them. I think the Lions could run for 300 yards. You talk about trying to stop them out of a sub package with the skipper package. Go ahead and throw up, skipper. It's okay.
Be more specific. When you say styles make fights, what is it about this game and these teams that gives the Lions the advantage?
Well, the Bills struggle in stopping the run. Their philosophy is to stop the run out of a sub package, meaning that they have more DBs out there. The Lions bring in an extra lineman. That means downhill running. They have 2 running backs, Sonic and Knuckles. You talk about the fact that they are almost at 1,000 yards apiece. And when you do that, Jared Goff has completed 72% of his passes. If Jared Goff, wasn't on the Lions, he would be an MVP candidate. If you took his numbers and what he's doing as a passer and put him on any other player with a brand name, they would be an MVP candidate and maybe a front runner.
So what he's saying is Tyron Johnson is the nickelback for the Buffalo Bills. He's a starter on that team. They play sub package more than any other team in the league. They're also small up front in both the defensive line and the second level, and they also like to place 2 safety high defenses. Bart's expecting that the Detroit Lions can run them out of that. Now, if you run them out of that, you have them in man-to-man, and if they want to stick to what they normally do, you would expect the Detroit Lions.
So why do you like Buffalo? Why are you telling us they can't do it?
Because I'm not saying that
you're crazy, Ryan Clark.
I'm not saying that they can't do it. Like, I just look at Buffalo and the way that Josh Allen is playing. Also, offensively, you think about playing a man-to-man defense against Josh Allen and what Joe Brady can do from the stack and the bunch perspective. Also, how Josh Allen uses his legs when everyone is run off.
Goff and all those fireworks in check is to keep them on the sidelines. Josh Allen has 416 rushing yards, 9 rushing touchdowns. I think this is a game that Sean McDermott, the strategist, says to Joe Brady, we need 35, 36 minutes time of possession to limit the number of at-bats for Jared Goff.
I'm surprised I'm out here on the island because you can say the same for Dan Campbell. Let's keep Josh Allen on the sideline by running the ball 100%. Down their throat, 3 to 4 yards, running again. So it can work both ways. And you talk about the Buffalo Bills haven't had a sack in 2 games, right? So, like, Jared Goff already back there with one of the best, these offense lines can birth the baby all day.
I got a question. Everyone in Bristol right now, John Fink, Eric Ball, and us, our producers, they're all going to be mad at me because I didn't plan this. I'm telling everyone at this table right now, one of these 2 teams is going to wind up in the Super Bowl, but not both. Which one is it?
I'm going with the Lions.
Yeah, me too.
I'm going to go with Buffalo.
Going with the Lions.
Lions don't have to beat the Chiefs to get there.
It's the Chiefs.
I just think,
what it is.
No, but the Chiefs, at some point, the football gods tell you that you have to have an offensive line, and they put DJ Humphries in last week, Greeny, and he gets hurt. So I don't care if it's Kingsley Sumatea, Wayne Morris. At some point,
how many people didn't practice?
I know, but wait. At some point, Superman's there, but your offensive line matters. And I do think with Buffalo's defense, between Matt Milano, they signed Micah Hyde, and Von Miller's coming off as
been playing.
Big advantage Detroit in this is that the overwhelmingly likely that they will be the 1 seed based on what happened last week, and overwhelmingly likely that the Bills will not. So
correct.
For whatever.
And too, the Detroit Lions are just really good.
And they're deep.
But their defense is so hurt, right? Their defense is so. I sit next to Rex
getting a little better up front.
How about the question? Like, this is a likely Super Bowl match.
It could be. That's the point. Like, this is one of these games like this. We've been spending a lot of time on Steelers-Eagles, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. I think the storylines going into Steelers-Eagles are maybe richer and more interesting. There may not have been a better game in the NFL all season long than the one that we're going to get in Detroit in the late spot there. Let's go to Packers-Seahawks. Mike T., who do you like in a critical game for both these teams?
The Green Bay Packers, because the law firm of Greenberg and Tannenbaum love, and at some point, the depth of those offensive skill players matter. No one's been better over the last month than the Seahawks. 4-0, outscore their opponents by 30 points. But at the end of the day, Jordan Love's going to outplay Geno Smith, and the depth of those receivers will be the difference.
What? I can't make up my mind on Jordan Love. I mean, to the point that Tannenbaum is making. He and I both picked him as our MVP before the season began.
Too soon.
it just hasn't been what I was expecting it to be.
Well, I think. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying you underestimate like how young and inexperienced he still is coming into this season because it was so much fun at the end of last year.
But I saw Patrick Mahomes when he was really young, and I saw Lamar Jackson when he was really young.
There's no other Patrick Mahomes.
I get that. But guys in their second year as starters are supposed to take that big jump, and I thought he was going to do it.
They have to, yeah.
But also too, when you watch the film. And you think about I always go back to the pick six against the Rams, the pick six to Kirby Joseph of the Detroit Lions. Those are the decisions that he needed to eliminate. The other interceptions being aggressive or a throw not being directly on point, I can live with those. He seemed to cut those out. And when you look at what he was in the second half against the Detroit Lions, some of those throws are top tier throws from the quarterback position. And with Josh Jacobs leading this run game,
Devondre Campbell,
I live my life, baby.
Detroit.
Roscoe Jenkins, team of me.
Let's get one more game in here, and this is a huge one. A lot more than just Pennsylvania bragging rights on the line between the Steelers and the Eagles.
I changed my pick, by the way.
Oh, RC?
I think I changed
my pick.
Okay.
I think I changed mine.
I think when I was on the phone with Eric, I picked the Eagles, and this morning in the shower, I totally changed my mind.
Okay.
I cleansed myself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka, and now I'm going with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And they honestly, they shouldn't win. No, you really look at it, the Philadelphia Eagles are the better team. George Pickens hasn't practiced all week, but I'm going with the Pittsburgh Steelers to break the curse. Shut up. 10 games.
Can I do something? Can I do something that everyone else always does, and that is shout out Hembo's research?
Yeah.
Everyone always. I sit here every single day and I say, well, I got this stat from Hembo. I got this stat from Hembo. Well, I, ladies and gentlemen, got a stat from Hembo. Nice. Are you ready for this? There are 135 coaches in the Super Bowl era that coached at least 40 games as an underdog. Of those, Mike Tomlin is the only one with a winning record in those games. He is 52-43 straight up as an underdog. They are a 6-point dog in this game. The Steelers are going to win.
I'm with you, Bart.
No, hell no. I'm by myself. No, Roscoe Jenkins.
Bart, I was on the road, and Eric kept bothering me to do the call.
Until I did the research, realized that they hadn't won in Philly since 1960.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's Tomlin's record in Philadelphia?
But listen, Mike Tomlin has become an adjective. Like, you Tomlin your way to a win.
It's a verb, but okay. But
adjective describes a verb. Right? An adjective describes a verb.
You're wrong.
He's not very
An adverb describes a verb.
He's not very Tomlin. He's Tomlining their way. We switched the pick here, by the way. Go ahead, Mike.
I think Philadelphia, they actually, to me, have the better defense. That secondary is playing great and taking nothing away from the front seven, the Steelers. Yeah. I actually like the Eagles because of their defense right now, and obviously Saquon Barkley.
Okay.
They're gonna make Jalen throw the football.
Yeah.
And he's gonna be reluctant.
He's gonna have to jail
he don't get enough practice, and they're gonna force it to A.J. Brown and tip balls change games.
Okay. Yeah. Anyone who is getting set to maybe
way to
have
win.
a little action on the games this weekend, Joe Fortenbaugh is ready to go. Pay attention. Watch this. Joe Fortenbaugh, our gambling expert, Clemson, SMU.
I would play Clemson plus the points.
At the buzzer, Clemson wins the ACC.
I can see Jalen Milroe getting to 50 yards in this game, so I go over on that prop.
His fourth touchdown, 72 yards.
Jones to win it in the third round. It pays out 6-1.
Penn State, Oregon, what are you playing?
Oregon minus the 3.5.
45-37, Oregon wins the Big Ten championship.
Get up.
Okay.
Let's go.
Okay.
Got to be ready for it, right?
He's just flat very good at this, which is why he is our betting expert at ESPN Bet. Here we go. Best bet, Steelers, Eagles, Joe.
Rock fight, under 43.5 points. This is built for a low-scoring game. Two teams that rank 1 and 2 in the NFL in rushing attempts per game. Two teams that rank 20th or slower in terms of pace. They're not in a rush to get up to the line of scrimmage. They're not in a rush to snap the football. You combine that with the amount of running they want to do, that makes for an under. And with George Pickens' status in doubt, that hurts the Pittsburgh offense. Low-scoring game, under 43.5.
Under on the Pennsylvania game. Let's go back to Bills-Lions. What's your best bet in that?
Explosions everywhere. There are a lot of props you can play. Focus on Josh Allen's rushing prop over 39.5 yards. Detroit struggles to defend quarterbacks when they're running. We've seen it throughout the course of the year. 7th most rushing yards allowed to opposing quarterbacks. Why? single high safety, aggressive man coverage. What happens with man coverage? You turn your back to the line of scrimmage. You're running down the field. Allen sees that. He takes off big chunks of yardage. In big games, Allen tends to run more. I think he has a big game on the ground in this matchup.
I like that one a lot. Cowboys-Panthers this week. What's your best bet in that game?
Excuse me, I had to choke back a little puke there. We're going to play the Panthers minus the 3. Shocking. Carolina, first-time favorite in a football game in 34 games. Why? Twofold. Number one, they've been playing well as of late. They have not given up on the season. They've covered 5 straight. And even though they lost to Kansas City and Philadelphia, they played very competitively. Number two, I think Dallas completely packs it in here. Officially eliminated from the playoffs on Monday night. Short week, lots of guys banged up. I don't even think they bother checking in for this game. Carolina beats them and covers.
They seemed devastated after that loss on Monday. I like that pick. And then obviously the greatest rivalry in all of sports in its own way. The Army-Navy game is this weekend. What is your play?
Total's 39.5. You got to be a sadist to bet the over in these games. Call me a sadist. I'll bet the over in this game. Under is cashed in 16 of the last 18. It actually hit in 16 straight. 2 years ago, we finally got an over thanks to overtime. Last year, we had a push. But the average closing total of those games is about 45 points. This is 39.5. These two offenses are better than we've seen in the past, especially when it comes to Army. Navy's had trouble tackling this season. They rank outside the top 60 when it comes to missed tackles this year. I think Army gets up on them. As a result, Navy has to open up the playbook a little bit, and we get home by going over 30.
Hello, Eagles Nation, and welcome back to Eagles Nest News, your go-to place for all the latest updates, analysis, and predictions surrounding the Philadelphia Eagles and the NFL. I'm your host, and today, we've got a lot to unpack. It's been a hectic Week 15 in the NFL, and we've seen some intriguing matchups shaping up for the playoffs. But, of course, we're here to focus on what matters most, our Philadelphia Eagles. Now, the Eagles have been performing at an elite level all season, but as we gear up for a critical stretch of games, it's time to look at some key matchups across the league and see how they might impact the Eagles' path to the Super Bowl. Whether it's looking at potential Super Bowl contenders like the Buffalo Bills and Detroit Lions, or analyzing upcoming matchups with our divisional rivals, there's plenty of football to talk about. So, let's dive in, and I'll be giving you my take on the state of the NFC, why the Eagles are in the driver's seat, and what this week's slate of games could mean for our beloved team. Let's start by talking about one of the most exciting matchups of the week, the Buffalo Bills versus the Detroit Lions. This game has been hyped up as a potential Super Bowl preview, and honestly, it's hard to argue with that narrative. On one hand, we have the high-powered Buffalo offense led by Josh Allen, who has proven to be one of the most dynamic quarterbacks in the league. On the other hand, the Detroit Lions, under head coach Dan Campbell, have been playing some of the most exciting football in recent memory. They've built a solid team, with Jared Goff playing at an MVP caliber level, and their running game has been a real force to be reckoned with the duo of David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs providing consistent yardage. But as much as the Bills have been the darlings of the AFC over the past few seasons, there are some serious questions about their ability to stop the run. Detroit has one of the most formidable ground attacks in the league, and with Buffalo's defense struggling against the run, I can easily see the Lions racking up over 300 rushing yards in this one. That's a huge advantage for Detroit, especially considering their offensive line is playing at a high level. If Buffalo sticks to its usual defensive philosophy, trying to stop the run with a sub-package defense, Detroit could have a field day. That said, the Buffalo offense, led by Josh Allen, is always a threat. Allen is not just a top-tier passer, but also a serious threat on the ground. He's rushed for over 400 yards this season and has 9 rushing touchdowns to his name. If Buffalo can control the clock, keep the Lions' offense off the field, and utilize Allen's legs to wear down Detroit's defense, they have a path to victory. But for me, the Lions' balanced offense and improved defense seem to give them the edge in this matchup. Now let's talk about how this relates to the Eagles. The NFC has been dominated by a few teams this season, but with Detroit showing their strength, could they challenge Philadelphia's supremacy in the conference? I don't think so. The Eagles have been playing incredibly well in all phases of the game: offense, defense, and special teams. Jalen Hurts continues to develop as a leader and a dual-threat quarterback, and the Eagles' offensive line has been dominant. But it's the defense that stands out. With players like Hassan Reddick and Fletcher Cox making an impact on every game, the Eagles have one of the most complete defensive units in the NFL. Compare that to a team like the Lions, who have a solid defense, but are still a bit banged up and lacking in the experience department. While Detroit's offense has been a revelation this year, I still think the Eagles are better equipped to make a deeper playoff run. They have the defense to slow down explosive offenses, and they have the offensive firepower to outlast anyone. So while games like Bills versus Lions are fun to watch and they certainly have playoff implications, the Eagles' combination of experience, depth, and star power makes them the clear favorite in the NFC. They have the tools to go toe-to-toe with any team, and with the way they've been playing, it's hard to see anyone dethroning them from the top spot. Now, moving on to a divisional matchup this week between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Philadelphia Eagles. This is a game that's going to be crucial for both teams, but in very different ways. The Eagles come into this game as one of the best teams in the NFC, while the Steelers have been struggling to keep up with the top-tier teams. Despite some impressive performances from Pittsburgh's defense and coaching staff, it's tough to see them making a deep playoff run without more consistency on offense. Meanwhile, the Eagles' defense continues to shine, and Jalen Hurts is playing at an MVP level, leading the Eagles to yet another season with one of the best records in the league. Some analysts have tried to make the case for Pittsburgh, citing their defensive strength and the leadership of Mike Tomlin. But here's the thing. The Eagles' offense, specifically Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, is simply too much for Pittsburgh to handle. The Steelers might try to grind out a win with their running game and rely on their defense, but when it comes down to it, the Eagles have the superior talent on both sides of the ball. The Eagles have a legitimate shot at clinching the top seed in the NFC, which would give them home field advantage throughout the playoffs, a massive benefit for a team that's been playing so well at Lincoln Financial Field. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. While the Eagles are clearly the favorites to win this game and remain on track for the playoffs, they'll need to stay focused and continue to play with the intensity that has gotten them this far. Each week brings a new challenge, and they can't afford to take their foot off the gas. To sum it all up, folks, the Philadelphia Eagles are in a great position to make a Super Bowl run this year. With their balanced attack on offense, strong defense, and depth across the roster, they have all the tools to go all the way. While teams like the Detroit Lions and Buffalo Bills are certainly worth watching, especially with their impressive play this season, the Eagles remain the most complete team in the NFC, if not the entire league. As always, the key will be staying healthy, staying focused, and continuing to execute at a high level. With Jalen Hurts leading the way and a defense that can stop any offense in the league, the Eagles are primed to make a deep playoff push. So, Eagles fans, let's stay confident. This team is on the path to greatness. Now, I want to hear from you, Eagles Nation. What do you think about the Eagles' chances this season? Do you think any team in the NFC can challenge them for the top spot? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss any of our future updates. We'll be bringing you all the latest news, analysis, and predictions as we march towards the playoffs. Until next time, fly Eagles fly.